There is an island in the Caribbean that is not a country and not quite a state. A commonwealth, a territory, a place of 3.2 million people who are American citizens by birth but cannot vote for president, who speak Spanish as their first language, and who have built one of the most specific and passionate food cultures in the Western Hemisphere. Puerto Rico, La Isla del Encanto, the Island of Enchantment. 100 miles long, 35 miles wide, surrounded by the Atlantic on the north and the Caribbean on the south, with a rainforest in the center and a food tradition that runs from the indigenous Taino people who were here before Columbus to the West African enslaved people who arrived with the Spanish to the Spanish colonists themselves to the waves of migration that have been shaping the island ever since. It is 1954. Ramon Monchito Marrero is a bartender at the Caribe Hilton's Beachcomber Bar in San Juan, the first luxury hotel to open outside the continental United States, a destination for Hollywood celebrities and wealthy tourists on the newly fashionable Caribbean circuit. The hotel's management gives him a task: create a signature welcome drink, something that captures Puerto Rico, something guests will remember. Monchito spends 3 months experimenting. He works through combinations of local ingredients: rum from the island's distilleries, coconut cream, pineapple juice. The Coco Lopez cream of coconut has just become commercially available. It is thick, sweet, and specifically Puerto Rican. He blends it with white rum and fresh pineapple juice. He adds ice. He keeps adjusting the proportions until the balance is right. After 3 months of perfecting the recipe, Marrero felt that the drink finally captured the flavors of Puerto Rico and named it the Piña Colada. The new cocktail was served by Marrero for 35 years and became the official drink of Puerto Rico in 1978. There is a competing claim. A stone plaque outside Barachina restaurant at 104 Calle de la Fortaleza in Old San Juan reads, "The house where, in 1963, the Piña Colada was created by Don Ramon Portas Mingot." Barachina's profile is bolstered considerably by being located in Old San Juan, a beloved day trip setting for fun-seeking cruise ship passengers who are more than willing to risk brain freeze in order to suck down a piña colada in the spot where it was allegedly first mixed. The place sells upwards of 2,000 of the drinks per day. In 2004, Puerto Rico's then-governor, Sila Maria Calderón, issued an official proclamation marking the 50th anniversary of the piña colada, naming Marrero as the cocktail's creator and the Caribe Hilton as its place of birth. The Piña Colada is now the most ordered cocktail at tropical bars around the world. It appears on menus in every country that has a beach. The song, Escape, the Piña Colada song, by Rupert Holmes, was #1 in America in 1979, a year after Puerto Rico declared the drink its official beverage. In the mountains south of San Juan, there is a stretch of Route 184 that runs through the municipality of Guavate in the Calle Mountains. It is called La Ruta del Lechon, the Pork Highway. On weekends, the road fills with families who have driven from San Juan, from Ponce, from every corner of the island to eat one thing: lechon asado. Lechon asado is a whole suckling pig, typically between 80 and 120 pounds, marinated overnight in adobo seasoning, mounted on a long wooden spit, and roasted over an open hardwood fire for 6 to 8 hours. The cook turns the spit continuously, basting the pig with its own juices. The skin crisps to a mahogany lacquer. The fat renders and bastes the meat from within. The result, the skin crackling and shattering, the meat falling from the bone with no resistance, is considered by Puerto Ricans to be the definitive expression of their food culture. The lechoneras on La Ruta del Lechon are open on weekends, starting early in the morning when the fires are lit, and closing when the pig is gone. There are a dozen of them on the road, each with its own loyal following, each with its own adobo recipe, each with its own specific claim to the best skin or the best meat or the best accompaniments: Gandules rice, Tostones, yuca with mojo. The drive to Guavate on a Sunday morning is itself a ritual. The smell of roasting pork drifts down the mountain before you reach the first lechonera. By the time you park and get in line, you have been smelling lunch for the last 15 minutes of the drive. This is considered a feature, not a problem. Mofongo is the dish that Puerto Rican restaurants outside of Puerto Rico put on the menu as their first proof of identity. The dish that says, "We are Puerto Rican, and this is what that means." A mofongo is made from green plantains, unripe, starchy, firm, that are sliced, fried until golden, and then pounded in a wooden mortar called a pilon with garlic, olive oil, salt, and chicharrones, pork cracklings. The pounding continues until the mixture comes together into a dense, garlicky, slightly rough-textured mass that is shaped into a dome or a bowl in the mortar and served hot, either alone or filled with a protein, shrimp and garlic sauce, chicken and sofrito, beef stew, with the broth or sauce poured over and around. The mofongo's origins trace to the West African fufu, a starchy paste made from plantains, yams, or cassava, pounded in a mortar, brought to Puerto Rico by enslaved Africans. The Spanish brought the plantain to the Caribbean from West Africa, where it was already a staple crop. The Taíno people contributed the pilon. The result is a dish that contains the three origins of Puerto Rican culture in a single mortar: indigenous, African, Spanish. Every Puerto Rican family has opinions about mofongo. The garlic ratio, the amount of chicharrón, the texture, whether it should be smooth or coarse, dry or wet. Arroz con gandules, rice with pigeon peas, is the national dish of Puerto Rico. Not contested, not argued, officially designated. The dish appears at every celebration, every holiday table, every family gathering of any significance on the island. The preparation begins with sofrito, the aromatic base of Puerto Rican cooking, discussed separately. The sofrito goes into a caldero, the heavy aluminum pot that is the essential vessel of Puerto Rican cooking, with oil and sazon seasoning. Then the pigeon peas, gandules, go in, and the water, and the rice, and the ricao, and the alcaparado, the mixture of olives, capers, and pimientos that gives the dish its specific brininess. The pot is covered, and the rice cooks by absorption, each grain separating and taking on the color and flavor of everything around it. The gandule is a West African legume brought to the Caribbean through the slave trade. The rice was brought by the Spanish. The adobo and sazon and ricao, the specific spice combinations of Puerto Rican cooking, were developed on the island over centuries. The arroz con gandules is the synthesis, a dish that belongs to Puerto Rico and to the specific combination of cultures that produced Puerto Rican cooking. Before the mofongo, before the arroz con gandules, before almost anything in Puerto Rican cooking, there is sofrito. Puerto Rican sofrito is a blended aromatic paste: ají dulce peppers, culantro, ricao, cilantro, garlic, onion, and tomato, processed into a thick, fragrant, intensely flavored green gold paste that serves as the flavor base for virtually every savory dish in the Puerto Rican kitchen. It is not a sauce. It is not a condiment. It is the first ingredient in the pot. The thing that goes into the hot oil before anything else, the foundation on which the flavor of the dish is built. The ají dulce, a small, sweet, non-spicy pepper specific to the Caribbean, is the ingredient that makes Puerto Rican sofrito impossible to exactly replicate in most American cities. It is sweet in a way that bell pepper is not, aromatic in a way that jalapeno is not, Puerto Rican in a way that cannot be substituted. Puerto Ricans who move to the mainland report that finding ají dulce is the primary obstacle to making authentic sofrito outside of the island. Every Puerto Rican family makes its own sofrito. The ratios are the family's own. Grandmothers make it and freeze it in ice cube trays so it can be used one portion at a time throughout the year. The recipe is not written down in most families. The most important food tradition in the Puerto Rican Christmas is not a dish you can order at a restaurant. It is a family production that takes an entire night and requires everyone present. Pastels are the Puerto Rican Christmas food. Masa parcels made not from corn, like Mexican tamales, but from green banana, plantain, and root vegetables, yuca, grated into a paste, seasoned with achiote oil, spread on a banana leaf or parchment paper, filled with seasoned pork stew, folded, tied with string, and boiled for an hour. The result is a dense, starchy, intensely flavored parcel that tastes of banana and achiote, and the pork filling inside. The production is communal. Families assemble in the kitchen, or the driveway, or the backyard, starting late at night, sometimes after midnight. The grandmother runs the operation. The aunts and cousins take their stations. One person grates the masa. One spreads it on the paper. One adds the filling. One folds and ties. The conversation runs through the night. The radio plays aguinaldos, Puerto Rican Christmas folk music. By morning, there are dozens of pastels tied in stacks, ready to boil. The pastel is the Taino tradition of cooking in leaves combined with the West African tradition of stuffed starchy parcels combined with the Spanish tradition of seasoned pork. Three origins, one Christmas morning food. This is the snack that appears on every table, before every meal, at every gathering. A tostone requires no occasion. It requires only a plantain and a hot pan of oil and 30 seconds of attention. A tostone is a green plantain, sliced into rounds, fried in oil until just golden, removed from the oil, smashed flat with a tostonera, a wooden press, or with the bottom of a glass or a can or whatever is available, and returned to the oil to fry again until crispy and golden. The double fry is the technique. The first fry softens and cooks the interior. The smash opens the structure, the second fry crisps the entire surface. The result is a flat, slightly oval disc of fried plantain that is crispy on the outside, soft and starchy within, slightly salty, eaten with mayo ketchup, the Puerto Rican fry sauce, a mixture of mayonnaise and ketchup that predates Utah's fry sauce by several decades. Or with garlic mojo or ajilamojali, the sweet pepper sauce of Puerto Rican cooking. Tostones appear as a side dish, a snack, a vehicle for mofongo fillings, a scoop for stews. In the Puerto Rican kitchen, the plantain is the potato. It appears fried, boiled, baked, mashed, at every stage of ripeness, in multiple preparations. In December, Puerto Rican families make coquito. It is Puerto Rico's Christmas drink the way eggnog is, America's Christmas drink, except it is better, and it contains rum, and it is made from scratch, and every family's version is slightly different, and their version is the correct version. Coquito is made from coconut cream, coconut milk, sweetened condensed milk, evaporated milk, white rum, vanilla, and cinnamon. It is blended together, poured into glass bottles, and refrigerated until cold and thick. It is served in small glasses, cold, to every person who arrives at the house between Thanksgiving and Three Kings Day on January 6th. The word coquito means little coconut. The drink is specifically Puerto Rican, not Cuban, not Dominican, not from any other Caribbean island with a coconut tradition. The rum is Puerto Rican rum, Bacardi, Don Q, Palo Viejo. The coconut is the coconut of the island. The recipe is the family's. The coquito gifting tradition is serious. Families bottle their coquito and give it as a Christmas gift. The quality of someone's coquito is a matter of reputation. Being known for good coquito is a specific social honor. Being known for weak coquito is not something anyone aspires to. Tembleque means shaky in Spanish. The name comes from the texture of the dessert, a coconut milk pudding set with cornstarch, turned out of a mold, trembling slightly when you move the plate. Tembleque is made from coconut milk, sugar, cornstarch, salt, and cinnamon, nothing else. The mixture is cooked until thick, poured into individual molds or a single large mold and refrigerated until firm. It is served turned out onto a plate, dusted with cinnamon, slightly wobbly, white and clean and sweet. The simplicity is the point. Tembleque is a dessert made from ingredients that have been available on the island for centuries: coconut, sugar, cornstarch, cinnamon from the Spanish spice trade. It is the dessert that required no imported ingredients, that could be made on the island from the island's resources, that became the standard Puerto Rican dessert for exactly those reasons. At Christmas and Easter and every family celebration, Tembleque appears on the dessert table alongside the pastels and the arroz con dulce. It is the dessert that grandmothers make and that children eat standing next to the refrigerator while it is still in the mold. It is delicate and specific and entirely Puerto Rican. Puerto Rico's food is not one tradition. It is three traditions: Taino, West African, Spanish, that have been combining and recombining for 500 years in a specific climate, with specific ingredients, in a specific community that has maintained its identity through colonization, through diaspora, through economic crisis, through hurricane. The Mofongo carries the African fufu in its technique, and the Taino pilon in its vessel, and the Spanish garlic in its seasoning. The pastels carry the Taino tradition of cooking in banana leaves, and the African tradition of stuffed starchy parcels, and the Spanish tradition of seasoned pork filling. The Arroz con Gandules carries West African legumes and Spanish rice, and a spice tradition developed on the island itself. The Piña Colada was invented by a bartender who spent 3 months trying to put the island in a glass. He succeeded. The drink became the most ordered tropical cocktail in the world. Monchito tended bar at the same hotel for 35 years. The road in the mountains is called the Pork Highway. Families drive for hours to eat on it on a Sunday. The coquito recipe is a family secret and a Christmas gift and a measure of social standing. Not every island has a highway named after a single food. Not every island's official drink was invented by one bartender who spent 3 months perfecting it. Not every island's Christmas tradition requires the entire family to assemble at midnight and cook until morning.